Hey guys, it's Kevin here in my review for the season of Casual. Yes, Casual Season 2 has finally ended, and now I can review it. And of course, this is a show that doesn't have an intro, so I can't really say anything and show you an intro, because like I said, it doesn't have one. But anyways, guys, let's get into the season, because I was really looking forward to the season. As you guys know, I really loved Season 1. I thought it was a very surprising show. I expected nothing going into it, and I ended up really loving it. I thought it was just a great show about how to deal with depression and the feeling of being alone and things like that. And I was really looking forward to seeing how they were going to maybe make things a little bit more lighter and maybe get these characters to, you know, a good place in happiness in season 2, and I was definitely looking forward to seeing what that was going to be like, and also the fact they had 13 episodes, I was definitely looking forward to seeing how that was going to be. And I have to say that not only was season 2 a huge improvement over season 1, it basically did all the great things about season 1 and made me love the show even more than I already did. I think season 2 is a huge improvement. I think it's by far one of the best things I've seen so far this summer, and pretty much did everything that I really wanted season 1 to be. But let's get into the season overall, because there really is a lot to talk about. However, this season's, I think, a little bit different than season 1, because season 1 was more getting us introduced to these characters, seeing their relationships, seeing how lonely they are, and seeing them kind of being forced to move on. And that's really what I think this season's all about. It's about two key things. It's about the feeling of change. Definitely it's about change and, you know, how one has to deal with it and where that's going to take them and things like that, which that's something that I think was very interesting. But the other big aspect of the season is all about commitment and how these characters get themselves involved in things and basically realize they're going to have to commit. And we'll get into that. But let's first talk about Val, because this really is, of course, Val's season. Val is our main character. This, I would say, is more Alex's season than it is Val's, but Alex and Val's plot basically coincides this season. Like, basically everything that's going on with Val is going on with Alex, but let's just get into it. Val, as we know, she has made the decision to continue living with Alex and Laura after all the shit she did, you know, with Emmy. They're trying to move on from it, and, Val ends up kind of realizing how lonely she is. You know, she doesn't really have many friends. She doesn't really have anyone on her side, and she really wants to make more friends. And she starts getting closer with her friend Jessica. This is someone who clearly she was friends with and she kind of distanced herself from, but she really starts to get closer with her. And I like seeing these two bond. I thought it was definitely interesting to watch that, and I thought it was definitely very interesting. Not Jessica, Jennifer, that's her name. Jennifer, is her friend. She's the therapist who works in the same building as Val, and these two get very close very quickly. I mean, there's some great scenes with them just playing charades, which I definitely really did like seeing, but through all of this, Jennifer can see how lonely Val really is, and that Val really needs someone in her life. Because really, like I've said before, one of the things that Val wants the most is she just wants someone to love her. And there really isn't anyone that does, except for, you know, someone like Alex. But obviously, Alex is her brother. She wants a genuine relationship. And that's exactly what Jennifer does for her. She gets her introduced to a couple guys, and for a while she gets stuck between these two guys. One is Jack, who she immediately falls for and immediately just has a huge interest in and definitely really does like. And the other one, I can't remember his name, but she ends up picking Jack. Jack is someone who kind of gives her escape from reality. He's someone that genuinely does like her. He's someone that genuinely does care about her. And these two start a genuine relationship. And it goes very quickly from just casual sex to these two actually talking and actually having a genuine relationship. And it's really nice to see Val actually move on, because you didn't know if Val was going to be able to find that relationship, but it seems like Jack is that relationship for her. So I did like seeing Val go on this quest of self-discovery, kind of, and realize that she can be happy, and that's something I really did love. In order for me to talk about the rest of Val's plot, though, we have to talk about Alex, because that's another big part of this, and just like Val's, Laura's plot kind of coincides with Alex's as well. Well, at least for the first 2 episodes it does, because Laura's in a spot where after the whole thing with her teacher, she obviously does not feel comfortable at school. People know why the teacher was expelled and what Laura did. They kind of think that Laura maybe had sex with him, and Laura just does not feel comfortable in that building. So obviously she needs to switch schools. And at first she ends up going to homeschool, and Alex ends up homeschooling her, because Alex is kind of in a state where he's not really doing much and he wants to homeschool her and everything. The problem is that it's kind of awkward. He's not really great at what he does. It doesn't really work out in the way that Laura expects it to, and I did like something I think they did very well this season is that they give a lot more bonding for Alex and Laura, and I definitely did like seeing that, the way these two are bonding, but obviously it's too awkward for Laura. She can't really take him all that seriously, and it's just not really his career choice. So what he ends up doing is he really is in need of getting out of the house. He doesn't just want to stay in the house all cooped up and everything, so he decides to make Snogger his, personal job, and he makes it a full-time job rather than a part-time job, and he starts working at this company and everything at Snogger. But what he doesn't realize that his ex-girlfriend, Sarah Finn, is also the boss there. And, well, not the boss, but she's married to his boss, who, his boss is played by the guy that played, Pete on Mad Men, which it was cool to see his character again. I always did like him as an actor. I thought he was very good, and it was cool to see him here. But anyway, obviously this is very awkward for Alex knowing that Sarah Finn is there, so he wants to do whatever he can to make it seem like he can still be with her. So what he ends up doing is, Jordan's assistant, Fallon, he starts to fake a relationship with her, make her seem like he wants to be with her, he even has sex with her, he tries to get as close with her as possible. And eventually we realize that Fallon's doing the exact same thing. You know, these two, it seems like, are gonna... Here's what I thought was gonna happen this season. And this is the genius of the show, is that whatever direction you think the show's going in, it never does. And what I thought they were gonna do this season is Alex and Fallon were gonna date for a little bit, and he's gonna realize that Fallon is the person that he really wants to be with, and Fallon's the person he really likes, which Fallon is played by Britt Robinson. Awesome to see her again. I've always liked her as an actress, but Fallon in general... we can see that she really isn't interested in him, but you're not really sure if she's faking it or if she's just going along with it. But you very quickly realize when they're at this party that Fallon's doing the exact same thing because she wants to be with Jordan. She really likes Jordan. She wants to be, with him, and basically, Sarah quickly realizes that this is exactly what Jordan wanted, that Jordan does like Fallon. She obviously gets jealous. Her and Alex start an affair, and Val actually doesn't approve of it, which is interesting to watch. I like seeing Val tell him not to do this, and that she, this is not going to end well for him, because it's clear this is just an affair, and that he's obviously not doing the right things. You can clearly tell that this is not really something that, Alex is kind of living in this fantasy world right now. He has this fantasy that him and Sarah are going to get close, and she's going to leave Jordan for him, and that's not at all what happens. In fact, Jordan becomes obviously very furious at Alex, and that's completely understandable why he's upset, because he went behind his back, he's cheating on his girlfriend's, his wife is cheating on him and everything, so it makes sense obviously why Jordan feels this way, and that's completely fiance, not ex, but basically, he obviously gets really upset, and he says to him that, look, I'm going to make sure that something bad happens here. I'm going to make sure that something bad happens to you and that you have some sort of payback for this, which, honestly, I get what Jordan's doing, because obviously what Alex is doing is completely wrong, and you can totally understand that. The problem is, once Alex realizes that what he wants with Sarah is not really working out, Val is not there. Val goes on this vacation with Jack, where she gets to escape, and probably my favorite scene of this entire season is when Jack and Val, they're on this vacation together, and she looks like she's ready to leave because she's getting a call from Alex, and we know whenever Val gets a call from Alex, she runs off because she needs to be there for Alex. She needs to care for him. But I love what Jack says to her, that Jack says to her, do you really just want to care for your brother? Are you afraid of getting close to people? He asks her some very deep questions that I totally understand why he's asking her these things, because they are questions that I think we've been asking her this entire season. Things like, this entire show we've been wondering, are you afraid to get close to anyone? And we know that that's the truth, but she decides that, no, she's not going to respond to Alex. She ends up having sex with him on the beach, and it leaves Alex to deal with this on his own, and he really doesn't know how to do that, to the point where he turns to Leon. He can't even do it for himself. He has to turn to someone like Leon, and it's mainly because Alex is someone that clearly is afraid of change. He doesn't want things to be different. He wants Val to be there 24/7. He wants Val to be there for him as much as she can be, because they've had to raise themselves on their own, as we know, because, you know, we know their mother wasn't, Dawn was never really there for them, so we know they've always had to raise themselves on their own. The problem is Val's growing up. Val can't be there for him anymore, and he needs to realize that. I mean, Val's someone that she doesn't want to just be alone all her life. She doesn't just want to care for Alex all her life. She wants more than that. Alex, I think, wants that too, but he just doesn't really know how to break that change yet. He's someone that doesn't really want to change things, and it's understandable. I mean, change is a scary thing. You can totally understand why Alex feels that way, but he turns to Leon, and let me just say that Leon gets a very brief, actually, no, not a very brief, but in episode 11, Leon gets this fantastic, I think about 11-minute scene, and it is amazing, where we see Leon, and he sees this girl, and he automatically feels very close to her, he has sex with her, and he really thinks that maybe these two have a future together, but then he sees she's getting a call, realizes, holy shit, she's married, I'm also having an affair. So Leon is doing the exact same thing that Alex is doing, just in a different way. He wasn't deliberately doing it. Alex is deliberately in an affair with Sarah, hoping that she'll leave Jordan. Obviously, it's wrong, and his thinking is ridiculous, and I like that Leon tells him as well that what he's doing is crazy, and that he has no idea what's going on, and that he really can't help him here. And what Alex does next is probably the worst thing he could have done. What he decides to do is not try to deal with this on his own. You think that that's what he would do, but that's not what Alex does at all. Even when he hears this sign from an old man that says things will get better, you know, you gotta try to do this on your own and everything, he still doesn't do that. What he does instead is he makes Val think that Laura's in trouble, that there's something bad that happened with Laura, and this makes Val run to see what the hell is going on, realizes there's nothing wrong with Laura, realizes that Alex just basically tricked her into coming back, and this obviously really pisses Val off, to the point where she actually leaves. She doesn't come back, and where does she go? She goes to Drew, of all people. She doesn't go back to Jack. She actually goes to Drew, and why does she go to Drew? Because Drew actually wants to be with her now, and I think Val has this fantasy that her and Drew are going to get back together and everything's going to be great, but as we know, you know, Drew cheated on her once, he can do it again, and she's doing the exact same thing that he did, but she's just not really looking into it that way. She's thinking Drew's someone that cares for her. She's thinking Drew's someone that really wants to be with her, and she doesn't really see it in the way that she should. So, obviously, you know, Val is not too happy with Alex. You know, really, she's very much against him for the next few episodes, and Alex wants to find a way to prove himself to her, so what he decides to do is to throw her a party for her 40th birthday. Now, this sounds like the right thing to do, except that he invites everyone that he can think of, and I'm talking like, he invites Sarah, he invites Leon, he invites of course, Laura, people like that. He invites those people, but the kicker of all is that he invites Jack, and this really pisses Val off. Not because she doesn't want commitment, but because she knows that she and Jack don't really have a future right now, and that she doesn't really know if she wants to be with him. She doesn't really know what she wants right now. All she knows is that she wants some sort of change. She wants a sense of release from being in this house, and this obviously gets her very pissed off. She quickly realized that Alex is only doing this to make himself feel better, and she leaves the party. She actually does not stay for her own birthday, and this leaves Alex all alone. But before she can leave, she says she's ready to go back to Drew, and it seems like those two might actually get back together. But right before that can happen, in comes Charles, who before gave Alex this very big lecture about how he was unfaithful to Sarah and how him and Sarah have no future together. But Charles comes there and kind of as a sign of relief tells them that he's back, and they're obviously wondering why he's back or what's going on. We'll get into that in the finale, but that's pretty much everything that happens in Val and Alex's plot. I know there's a lot that happens there, but just as much stuff happens in Val and Alex's plots than Laura's plots. Because if Val is the character that grows the most this season, Laura, I think, is the one that's kind of afraid to grow. As much as Alex is, I think Laura is even more afraid to do so. And definitely Laura has a lot more to do this season than she did last season. Last season, she kind of had these two storylines, and I don't really think they went in the best places, but this storyline I loved. I love what they did with Laura this season. Laura, like I said, is quickly thrown from her school, and after the thing with Alex doesn't work, she ends up going to this homeschool, and this is a homeschool that she meets a lot of people. There's this teacher there, everyone kind of respects her, but she also feels like she's kind of outnumbered because she's a lot more vulgar than a lot of the students there. She's a lot more spoken than a lot of them. She's not afraid to really say what she thinks. And we know how Laura is. She's sarcastic, she's dry, she's her dry, sarcastic self. But she ends up getting close to this girl, Aubrey, who Aubrey is played by the girl that played Xanthebe in The Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. It was cool to see her here. But we can clearly see that Aubrey and Laura have this connection, and Aubrey ends up getting very close to Laura, and I mean very close. I mean, these two start to bond over a lot of things, and Aubrey ends up kissing her, and Laura lets it. Laura actually lets her do it. After Aubrey gets her to destroy these bikes, she kisses her, and Laura gives in, but we quickly realize, I think Laura quickly realizes what she's doing, and she tries to stay strictly friends with Aubrey. Things get even more complicated, though, when you have this boy Spencer that comes in the mix. Now, Spencer is someone that is dying of, I believe it's brain cancer. I can't really remember. He has some sort of cancer. I can't remember, thyroid cancer, something like that. I can't remember what cancer it is, but he has terminal cancer, and he's going to die within a few months, and Aubrey and Laura end up wanting to do something for Spencer. They first make him a care package and things like that. But then Laura wants to take it one step further. She thinks, hey, why don't we try to have sex with Spencer? Because, Spencer's going to die, things like that. Why don't they try to do that and have a threesome with him? Now, I really knew this wasn't going to go well, because obviously Aubrey has feelings for Laura. Laura doesn't really want to admit she has these feelings. So I think Laura clearly, does have these feelings for Aubrey, but she doesn't really want to admit it yet, and she doesn't, want to admit that maybe she doesn't just like guys. Maybe she actually is bi. Aubrey clearly is open with her sexuality. Aubrey clearly is someone that isn't afraid to show who she really is, and she's actually tentative at first to have sex with Spencer, which kind of makes me think that Aubrey's actually a lesbian. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking Aubrey's not bi. I think she's actually a lesbian. But they do end up having a threesome with Spencer, and they basically agree that it's going to be strictly a one-time thing. They're not going to do it again. They'll just stay friends, and that's how it's going to go. However, Laura ends up completely ruining this. Her and Spencer get very close. They plan on having this hot tub party with Aubrey, because basically Spencer obviously wants it again. He really wants it again. He likes them, and he obviously, you got two attractive girls, and he still wants to be with them. So basically what ends up happening is Aubrey does not show up for some reason. We don't know why, but she didn't show up, and Laura and Spencer, they start to get very close, to the point where not only do they get close, they end up sleeping together. And this obviously very much upsets Aubrey. She said that they agreed that this was going to be a one-time thing. Laura doesn't listen to her, though, because Laura wants to do her own thing. This is how Laura's always been. Laura's just a stubborn person in the sense that she wants to do something like this. And she starts to get closer with Spencer. They start to have kind of these movie nights, and you can kind of see that Spencer really does like Laura, and I really did like the character of Spencer, because he's someone that really does care about her. He's someone that really does want to be with her. Finally, it seems that Laura's found herself a guy. Finally, it seems like this is someone that'll actually last for her. But the only reason that Laura's really with him, we can see, is that this is someone that she knows is going to die, so she wants to stay by him all the time. But she also doesn't want it to be too cheesy, because after watching The Fault in Our Stars, she doesn't want it to go that way. She wants this to be a little bit more casual and open, and, just kind of not really putting labels on anything. Even though this is her boyfriend, she doesn't really want to make it seem that way. That's just how Laura really is. And Spencer, on the other hand, this is someone that does really get close to her. In fact, she tells him a lot of things, like her middle name, and how she feels about things, and what she thinks about death, and what she thinks about them, a lot of things like that. So they start to do some things on his bucket list, like go to a movie night, or, they have these movie marathons on FaceTime. Some of the best moments of the season are just watching them have these movie nights on FaceTime. I thought they were a lot of fun to watch, and they start watching a bunch of, cancer films, but they go along with his bucket list, and one of the things on his bucket list, one of them, I think is, I remember one of them was to, fall asleep, I think, in a rocket ship or something like that, which they do end up doing. And then episode 12, it's them getting tattoos, and it's these emojis on their back and everything. But you can clearly see that Laura's not really thinking about this. She's not really thinking about what she's doing, and Then the dreaded news comes that Laura, I think, was just so unprepared for it. And that news is, Spencer ends up going to the hospital, and Laura basically thinks, all right, this is it. He's going to die. I'm not going to see him again, and this is going to be it. I'm going to get that closure. But then the most unexpected thing could happen when she gets the call that not only is Spencer okay and the medicine's working, his tumor is shrinking and he has a lot more time left than she initially thought. And this obviously very much scares Laura because of the fact that, holy shit, he's actually gonna be okay. I might actually have to continue this thing. I don't have to just put this thing to rest like I want to. And you get the sense that Laura does want to end this, and it's interesting to watch, but despite that, she ends up going back to Spencer. They have sex, and then she's like cuddling with him and everything, but she just has this look on her face of, holy shit, I actually have to continue this, and you don't really know what she wants to do, which perfectly puts us into the finale, and let's talk about the finale right now. So that's pretty much everything that happens this season till the finale, but before we get to the finale, I just want to talk about a couple more things. First of all, the tone this season. The tone this season I really did love, because yes, it is a dark show, and there is definitely some humor in there, but this season is definitely significantly darker than the first one. There's a lot more talk of darker topics, like death, and depression, and suicide, and all this kind of stuff. I mean, yeah, we had this stuff in season 1, but it works a lot better here. These characters have reasons to talk about these things. They have reasons to be upset, and we really, I think, get more into the psyche of these three characters. To put it simply, if you did not know the way these three characters think and feel in season 1, you will absolutely know by the end of season 2, because I'm not gonna lie, there were some things the characters did in season 1 that I just didn't really understand, and this season they really make that a lot more known. So I think the script here was a lot better. Things were a lot more slower paced, which I definitely really did like. Things definitely weren't as fast paced. I mean, the episodes are only 30 minutes, but because of them having more things to do and more, that gave them more episodes, which that's something I really did love. I think something that happened last season is that they had to rush things because they only had 10 episodes, so they couldn't do as much as they wanted, and because they had 13 episodes this season, they were able to tell the story that they wanted to tell, and I really did love that. I think it really did benefit them in that sense that they were able to tell a full story, and they were able to do more that way. I really did like the way that was done, and all the storylines I really got into. There wasn't a story I wasn't into this season, because last season I kind of lost interest in Laura's plots, then they kind of made me like it, but throughout this season I was with every plot. I really could follow what was going on, I really did get into it, and I really care about these three characters. I've heard people say these characters have really regressed, and I completely disagree. What they make you know about these characters is that, no, they're not the greatest human beings. They all are very damaged, and they all have these really weird ways of thinking. But you're rooting for them because they are good people. They're not terrible human beings. They're just misguided ones. They're ones that haven't really learned to do things the right way. They're still kind of learning in that sense, and that's something I did like. It's very realistic in the way they portray it. And yes, sometimes these characters make the most ridiculous and outrageous decisions, especially Alex. Alex is someone that I think a lot of people are going to dislike this season, but I really didn't, because it's with his character. That's something that Alex would totally do. Alex is not someone that thinks rationally. We've known this. I mean, hey, he tried to kill himself last season. I mean, obviously he doesn't think rationally. So that to me didn't really hurt the show. I think it worked a lot better, actually, and that's something I really did like. And something I also noticed, that the chemistry between these three is a lot stronger than it was in season 1. I mean, this is a season where they're not really with each other a lot. I mean, yeah, they're all kind of doing their own separate thing, and yeah, they come together time to time, but when they're together, it is fantastic. When Alex and Val have a scene together, you really believe that those two are brother and sister. Laura and Alex especially, I felt difference here, because you can see that they're a lot more comfortable with their roles, and because of that, they're able to expand them more. I think even some of it was improv a little bit. I honestly think that Tara Lynn-Barr improv some stuff, because she's just so good at that character, and I think she just does a great job with that. And the new characters as well, I really was able to get behind. I really like the character of Aubrey. I liked the character of Spencer. Was there enough Aubrey? No. I do think that's one of my only complaints, that Aubrey this season didn't have a ton to do, but I think that was what the point was. I mean, they're kind of just starting that storyline. We'll talk more about them when we get to the spoilers. but I really did love where they took that. I think the cinematography here, they went a lot more places this season. It definitely was not as claustrophobic. Season 1, you were in that house almost the entire season. I mean, there wasn't one episode where we weren't in that house. And yes, we were in that house most of the season, but a lot of the characters were in different places. You know, most of the season, Val's out doing things. You know, she's out either on vacation, she's with, you know, she's with Drew, she's with Jennifer. I mean, she's with a lot of different people, and that's something I really did like. And I thought that's something else they utilized very well was the location. You could tell they had a much bigger budget, and I think they used that very well. And then the editing as well. These episodes flew by for me. I went to them the whole time. There wasn't one that I thought was bad. I think every episode was strong this season. Almost every episode I gave a 5 out of 5. I'm not gonna lie. Almost every episode I did, because I really did think it was perfect in that regard. But that's really what I have to say about the season. And now that I've talked about the season overall, now I just want to get into the season finale, because there really is a lot to talk about in the season finale. So if you guys haven't seen the season finale, do not watch the rest of this review. This is a major spoiler, but the difference is with this finale is that while it is major, you kind of see it happening, and it's definitely more of a positive finale than last season. Last season's finale, I wasn't really a huge fan of, as you guys know. I think a lot of the decisions made last season were very abrupt in the sense that they didn't have enough episodes, so they ended plots before they started, and they really didn't get to tell the story that they wanted to. This season, however, they were able to do more of an epilogue. That's really what this finale was. It was kind of an epilogue, and I did like seeing that. I thought that was something I definitely really did enjoy. But of course, the main plot of this episode is very sad, but it's also not too sad because the character revolves around. You have Charles, who's come, and Alex and Val think they're going to get the usual lecture, or he's going to beg them for money or something like that. Instead, he tells them that he's dying. His lungs and things like that aren't working anymore, and he's dying. And not only is he dying, he wants to he says he wants to euthanize himself, in the sense that he's going to overdose on pills, and he wants to die that day. And it's very sad to see, but at the same time, you understand this is a good thing for them, because this is someone that's always made them feel like shit, and with him out of the picture, it finally gives them a sense of release. And throughout the episode, you see that Laura's trying to find medication, and the doctor's not letting her get it and everything, but she's also very confused as to where she stands with Spencer, because she knows that Spencer's gonna live. She doesn't really know what she wants to do with him, and what she ends up doing is she knows that he's 18, she gets him to get her the pills, and then they have this real talk where she basically tells him that she, just doesn't really know what to do now. The fact that he didn't die, he's asking her if she wanted him to die, and she just tells him that this is it, she doesn't want this anymore. And the best scene for me of that was when she goes to Val, and she's like, I'm a shitty person, I'm a horrible person, I'm fucked up in the sense that I want, and she literally admits that she wanted him to die. It's not because she didn't care about him, it's because she didn't want to commit. She was afraid of commitment, she wasn't expecting commitment, and realizing that she now has to commit to someone who she initially didn't really want to commit to, I think is very interesting to watch, and I think they really did a very good job with that story, because you don't really know what she wants to do. And I like that Val says that she's not a terrible person. That's completely understandable. Why? Because those two are in very much of the same places, where they're starting to have these relationships, but they don't really know if they really want to commit to them, and that's something I really did like. Meanwhile, Val's trying to find a place to go. She knows that Drew is not really the place she should go, so she starts talking with Leon, and Leon tells her that he has a place, he doesn't really have anyone right now, and he has a place for them, and this gives her the opportunity to realize that maybe she does want to leave. And what ends up happening is Charles does end up overdosing, which they end up giving him the pills. He literally tells them to give him the pills, and all three of them do it together, and that's casual right there. With those three giving him the pills and, like, joking about it, that's totally what casual is those three. I mean, like I said, we haven't seen a lot of them all together in a while, so I thought it was really cool and really refreshing to see those three be there just for this one situation. I really did like that overall. But Charles does very quickly end up dying, and in a conversation with Alex, she basically tells him that, yes, I'm always going to be your sister. Yes, I'm always going to be here for you. No, I'm not going to Drew, but I just can't be in this house anymore because it's sheltering her. It's keeping her from doing what she wants to do. She's not able to, accomplish what she wants to. She always has to run to her brother, and she doesn't want to do that anymore. She wants a sense of release, and she feels is the best thing for her. And with Charles dying, finally they're able to move on. This finally gives them some sort of freedom, because Dawn and Charles always kind of push them from, it always stopped them from doing something, inconsistent. They always had to do the same stuff, and finally they're able to separate themselves and not have to worry about it anymore, because Dawn clearly doesn't give a shit about them. And Alex, meanwhile, was fired from his job. He's fired from his job, and reality really sunk in for him. Like I said, he had this future that him and Sarah Finn were going to get back together, but he realized that she really did not like him in the way he thought, that this was just sort of an affair for her. That's all this was. So it was an affair, it was a way to get back at Jordan. It wasn't a genuine relationship, and he feels crushed, and obviously he's going to have to find a new job. So we have to wonder where he's going to go. He's now seeking therapy from Jennifer, which I thought was interesting to watch, and I'm wondering if him and Jennifer might start a relationship. I don't think they will, but I think it kind of hinted at that possibly. And meanwhile, we see at the end of the episode that Laura is still possibly going to try things out with Spencer. She gives him another pack of movies and says, here's our next movie marathon. I'm assuming she's going to try to continue this with him because she's realizing that she does want to make that move. She does want to commit, and this is someone that she genuinely does love. This isn't a guy that's bad for her. This isn't a guy that she doesn't want to move forward. This isn't a guy that, is treating her like shit. This is a guy that it actually could work, and it's something that she wants to try. And even though Aubrey told her that it isn't going to work, she's still going to try it. And the end of the episode, we see Val and Laura and Leon, they're now moving into his apartment, and they're actually happy. We see smiles creep on their faces, and finally, for the first time in 2 seasons, these two seem genuinely happy. It seems like they're ready to move past all the shit they've been through the past 2 seasons. They're finally ready to have a sense of release and a sense of happiness, and basically finally being able to move on with their lives and accept the change that they've been kind of holding back from the entire season, which I really think brings the whole season together. It really is just a culmination of everything the season's been building up to, and I think it was just the perfect finale and exactly what I wanted from this show. It was everything I think the season 1 finale wanted, but it just did it too quickly. This season, however, didn't do things too quickly. They moved things a lot slower. Some plots haven't even ended yet, such as Laura and Aubrey. We still don't really know what's going to happen there, and I think it was just a very satisfying way to end it overall, like very satisfying and much better season than, season 1 was. So overall, I absolutely love this season. I think this season, like I said, was so much better than season 1. There are still some things to talk about, though, obviously. I mean, now, like I said, Alex is going to have to find a job. Where is he going to go? We don't really know. Obviously, I think he's going to have to, find somewhere where does he really fit, I think is going to be his big question, is where do I really fit in? Obviously, Snogger somewhere that he can't be on anymore, and that's, again, something that he's going to have to move away from. But is Alex really ready to accept change? Val and Laura clearly are, those are two that have moved on, but Alex, I don't really know if he really does want to accept change, so we'll have to see where that goes with him and where he ends up going. Now, Laura and Val, the writers have already said that those three are still going to be together, obviously. They're not just going to not have them together. Even though Val and Laura are not living in the same place, that does not mean they won't go to visit Alex. I think we'll see a lot more of those three together, and I think they're going to try to get Alex on the same place as them. Laura and Spencer, I think they're going to try this out. I think Laura does want to try things out with Spencer. I think those two might actually get back together, and I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to happen with that. But also keep in mind that Spencer said that his tumor is shrinking. That does not mean that the cancer is gone. I am thinking that he's probably going to die next season, and the question is Laura really ready to face that? Because I think she was ready for him to die now, but is she going to be ready for him to die later? I think that's really a question that Laura's going to have to ask herself next season, that she really hasn't thought about, and I think she's really put herself in this situation, and I think it's going to be now very hard for her to get out of it when he does eventually end up dying, probably next season. But the other question is Aubrey. I'm sure we're going to see more of Aubrey next season. And does Aubrey have genuine feelings for Laura? Does she have feelings for Aubrey, possibly? And where's that going to go, really? I mean, obviously, Aubrey does not want Laura and Spencer together. And at first, I thought it was because Aubrey likes Spencer, but it's clearly not that. I think she clearly has feelings for Laura, and she doesn't want anyone to steal Laura from her. So we'll have to see where that goes. I really like what they did with Leon this season. I hope we get more into Leon's character, because it seemed like they were going to do more with him than they didn't, but they did the stuff they needed to, you know. They remind us that Val and Leon were together once. They remind us that Leon and Alex are best friends. So maybe we'll get more with Leon next season now that he's even a bigger part of the story. So I'm thinking we're going to get more with him. I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to happen with that. Drew, I hope that Val just tells him off. I really hope she does, because obviously he wants back in. I hope she tells him that she doesn't want back in. What I love about Val, though, this season, and something I think was just very evident with her, is that she really has changed in the sense that she has this newfound confidence. You know, she's not just going to say yes to everyone. She actually knows what she wants. She knows when she wants something, and she knows when to put her foot down. And that's something that this season 1 Val didn't get to do. So it really does show how much they developed her character. I think they did that very well, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do with her next season. But overall, guys, I love this season. I think it was such an improvement over last season. And this season, I know I didn't give it last season, but I am definitely giving it this season. And I'm not holding back here. I am definitely giving the season a 5 out of 5 or an A+. I loved everything about this season. I thought they told a much grander, more interesting story that really pushed these characters deeper. It made us care about them more. It made us see where they were going, and really showed how great this show can be when you give them a lot more to do and you give them more episodes, and really made me hope that this is what they stick with, that they stick with 13 episodes next season. I think it's what they need. I hope that it can be as good in season 3, and really just show that we are moving towards a change, just like the characters are. We're ready to as well, and I think it's the exact thing that the show definitely does need, and hopefully the effort that they put into this season will continue over to the next season. But anyways, guys, that's it. Casual Season 2 is now over. Let me know what you guys thought of this season. Love to hear your thoughts on it. I know a lot of people watched the season a lot more this year, and I'm actually very happy with that, because I know last season it was very, very indie. I think because of the fact they got Emmys and Golden Globes and things, I think a lot more people know about this season, which I'm very happy about, because, like I said, I really did love the season overall. But anyways, guys, let me know what you guys saw this season. Love to hear your thoughts on it. Where do you think Season 3 is going? I can't wait for Season 3 overall. And this will definitely be, obviously, in my top 10 shows of the summer, so I look forward to that. That's it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed. We'll see you guys in my next video, which will be for Pretty Little Liars. I know I have 2 episodes to watch, but I will watch both of those, and I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.